to another discussion. Topic today, goals. And different ways, or a main way, I would say, one main way of enhancing your cognitive function. And I'll give you my best advice at the end. And I'm going to go over some personal stories, some life lessons, cause and effect, some failures, some wins, when it comes to goal setting. I have my notes with me. Got my notes. We got a lot to cover, folks. Two-sided, 3 pages. 3 pages of notes. Very basic stuff. Very basic. I mean, so important to set goals. I'm talking about focus. The topic is focus. I'm sorry. Goals was yesterday. Today's focus. See? We're not focused. You see what happens? The irony. So before I do anything at all, before I even get on here, there's one thing that I do. I have my medical marijuana license. I go down to the dispensary. I get something here. What did I do with it? What did I do? Oh, I have it here, but I have something here that's called a happy stick. And it's low THC, but I have this Cavi Cone Blue Dream, and this stuff is strong. This stuff is really strong. It's really good. It's considered super weed. Anyways, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the Blue Dream strand. It's pretty good. It's one of my favorites. Focus, and that's what we're here talking about. We're talking about focus, and there are a lot of people today who suffer from what is known as ADHD. I don't suffer from that. I don't think. I've never had to go to a doctor and be like, hey, I can't focus. I can't pay attention to one thing. To me, there's no can't. You just do it. I don't know what it means that you can't focus. That's so weird to me. Maybe it's because I grew up in a different generation. Growing up in the 90s, where you don't grow up with cell phones constantly swiping something. I've done that now as an adult. But see, I don't know how to judge, how people are living and going through. So kids today, their focus is, their attention span is just, all due to television, internet, TikTok and all that stuff. It's pretty crazy. It's really fast, and we're talking about just holding on to people's attention. That's a different kind of skill that is, part of focus and all that. But, it's crazy how much it takes today to keep people's attention. It's insane, Focus does a lot of things for you. And not only that, there's actually tools you can use to enhance your focus. What do I mean by tools? Music, for instance. A lot of people, in order to zone in and hone in on whatever it is that they're trying to have a singular focus on for a long period of time of working, they use music to focus in. It's actually proven that listening to music improves your productivity while you work, but it's got to be music without lyrics. So I found that study really interesting, and in my life, I do it automatically. When I need some kind of motivation, I play music with headphones. No lyrics. It's just background music. Instrumental stuff, and it helps a lot. Not only that, another study that's shown that another thing that helps with focus and playing music, when you actually take a break from working on something a long time, it's actually good to go and listen to something completely different just for fun. Rock music, punk, whatever, techno, whatever it is that gets you, rap, whatever it is that brings you happiness and joy, and it releases those chemicals in your brain. So it helps having those breaks. So those tools, using music as a way to to enhance your performance. It is really good. They have, on YouTube, they even have music for studying, music for focusing. It's actually really impressive. Uh, Exists, and that's a tool we have today that we can just pull out and just use. It's actually really incredible. I mean, that didn't exist in the 90s. You couldn't do that. You had to get a CD, at the at the very least. But to snap your fingers and be like, I'm looking for this, boom, you have it in a matter of minutes, if not seconds. It's pretty amazing. Um, but yeah, well, that's something we'll get into. But the most important thing about focus is having the clarity, being very clear about what it is you're wanting in life, and that's going to tremendously help whatever it is you focus on. And it also, when you have that clarity of what it is you want, it helps you also stay away from distractions. That's part of maintaining focus on something, is being aware that there's people going to be coming into your life, or situations out of your own control, that are going to take up time and energy. And you have to stay there with those people, because they're just going to take your energy and your time. And you got to be more responsible about your focus, where your focus is. You can't, especially if you're trying to be a high achieving person, you cannot allow for side people to steal your whole day. That's going to hurt you so much. That's going to hurt your focus, your productivity. I mean, everything. So I bring that up because we have a house guest, and it's one of those things where you know she's just there, and so you have to make conversation, and be a good polite host, and eat with them during the mealtime, and do all these things, and it takes away focus, it takes away energy. But then there's a time where I'm like, okay, I've done all that I done to be a good person, a good, like, she's visiting, so I gave her my time. I said hello, I met her, I talked to her, I cracked jokes, and come up with some interesting topics to talk about, and had a meal with her. That's it. That's all you get. Like, I'm not here to spend the whole day with you just sitting on my butt, just looking at your pictures of things you took today. That sounds really like a big waste of my time. No offense. So, like, I had to put up some boundaries. I had to just be like, excuse me, I have to go to work, and I'll be back in an hour or so, and all that stuff. So, you know, the balancing act of making sure nobody takes advantage of you, your time, because it takes from your focus. So having clarity of what you want and what you don't want in your life. Like, I don't want a lady hanging on me. I don't want a lady telling me her life stories. I'm sorry. Like, sorry to be so, it's not just like self-centered, but I am thinking about my own future and health. I'm not going to spend my energy with you, like, you have nothing to do with my future. So why would I give you my time and energy, which is so limiting? So that's what happens when you get clarity of what you want. Suddenly you become more aware of how limited your energy and time is, and once you have the clarity of what you want, and you start pouring the focus into what you want, you just it comes naturally. You realize, oh, this person is just wasting my time. I'm not going to spend time with you because you don't bring any value to me, and you don't add to what I'm doing. You're just taking away. So please, boundaries. You can be cordial and excuse yourself. It's not about getting angry. It's not their fault. They're just a human being, right? They want to connect and express themselves just like anybody else. They want to be seen like anybody else, and they want to communicate and talk and meet new people. And and that's the thing. When you eliminate confusion with what you want, and you have that clarity, it becomes almost secondhand. You don't even think about. It's not about being mean. It's about being responsible about your time. You can't just give it all away, all day for a person you're meeting for the first time, and you just gotta sit there and do nothing. No, no, no. That kills productivity. You lose your focus. You lose your momentum. That's why the goals are there. And so those are the dot connectors. And then with the focus, with an undying focus, unrelenting, undistractive focus, it helps you hone in, you know. Um, and you know, it's all about alignment, you know. It all comes down to that, things that become more aligned to what you want in life. So you get rid of all distractions, people, situations that aren't serving your alignment. You know, that should be your priority, not spending time with people and extending yourself too much. That's not your priority. Your priority is what you align with, what is important to you, you know. And hanging out with somebody for hours is not important to me. That's just a waste of time, you know. So and it's absolutely the only way you're going to get what you want is by using discernment when it comes to your time and energy. It's the only way you can allow the momentum to get behind you, the kind of momentum you need, that starts out as a little tiny flicker of a flame, and with that focus continues to be there, that flame becomes a fire, you know. And there's momentum now, you know, and that momentum carries over and over and over and multiplies, you know. If there's energy pushing, then the momentum keeps going, you know. And so, but you can only do that if you're absolutely clear about what you want and absolutely eliminate the confusion in your life. You know, be very clear about what you want and what you don't want. No space for confusion, and that will get you aligned with everything. Everything in your life will start to align almost like magic. You know, you take it day by day with the primary thing going on, which is the focus. You know, the focus on the goals and moving towards them. It's almost uh, like I call it the carrot on the stick. You know, the stick is the goals you come up with, and or I don't know. The stick is, what is the stick? I don't know. But there's the carrot is obviously the thing you want at the end of the day. It's like the vision. It's the thing you want to obtain, and you're this. I mean, obviously, the stick is to hold the carrot, but I'm trying to figure out a way to add value to this whole thing, the picture, because the stick could signify a lot of different things. You know, it could mean, you know, it can mean a solid commitment to going after that vision. You know, you have to have a firm commitment. You know, it can't be wishy washy. You know, and that's the only way that you're going to see things grow. It's like when you fan a flame. It takes focus, fanning the flame. You got to focus on the one thing, a task that you're doing, the singular event happening in the present. Shifting is dangerous. That's what I mean. Shifting is not your friend. It's definitely your enemy. You know, things happen in life, and you don't want to be like a pinball machine shifting left and right, bouncing left and right, like a pinball machine going randomly place to place. You have an option to figure out what you want, get the clarity, eliminate confusion, get yourself more aligned with yourself with the goals, you know, because it's that important to you. There's a level of importance that goes all into this. And so it makes those moments of shifting in life uh, less palpable. It's less, it happens less often. Like you're not, when you're in it, as far as you got your goals and you're motivated, because it's the importance that motivates you, right? But it's that focus that gets you going, that gets you there, that gets the momentum going. It's all that, you know. And that's how you get what you want, is by not getting distracted. And the longer you focus on something, you'll see the benefit of like feeling more motivated to do what you're doing. Like the more you accomplish things, the more you spend more time focusing on tasks and goals that you're trying to accomplish, to get to the major goal, you focus, you're going to move ahead, you're going to grow, but like I said, in due time, because you're seeing growth, or you feel like you're in it because you're feeling more fulfilled and you're finding joy, you're just naturally going to find increased motivation. The more you focus on something, the more time you spend on something, and you hone in. And that's the beauty of having clarity, you know, because or not, it's just convoluted. You're going to be going different directions if you're trying to figure things out, juggling things, and that in itself is a huge way to derail yourself. Your focus is all over the place. You can't be like that. And so when you are in alignment, you achieve alignment with your goals and your actions. They're aligned together. You're actually going after the things that are going to make you succeed and obtain your goals. What starts to happen? You almost start to feel a pull, like a natural pull that's just kind of happening. You feel a lot more connected with the task at hand, with your life. You feel a lot more just happier. You just feel a lot more just happier overall in general, because you feel like you're on task, and so you're jumping from one task to the next, and you feel like when you get them done and you cross them out, it's like an accomplishment. You feel very accomplished. That's the power of focus. The power of focus on one singular event or project. It's very, you know to be successful, it demands a lot of focus. Focus is very, very much so demanded. And so the more focus you put in something as well, you'll start to find that when you are taking action, it becomes less and like just a lot more or less difficult to manage what you're doing. The actions that you need to take to manage to get to your goals. That's what happens the longer you stay focused on something. Obviously, it's exhausting. You have cognitive exhaustion, but you just litigate that as you go. You manage your energy, but you try to stay. I hate repeating myself, but you use your energy. You prioritize being focused at the task at hand, or else you're never going to get it done. If you keep getting derailed every minute, every hour, it's going to take a lot longer, and you're going to feel a lot more frustrated. You're going to feel like there's not a flow. So the only way to get in a real state of flow is by really focusing in, you know. And but the reason why it starts to become a lot more effortless is because there's nothing, there are less things tying you down. Like, you become freed up, and the faster you move towards one singular achievement or goal, right? While you're focused and zeroed in, you're moving really fast through the thrift of time. I don't know what to call it. The rip in time. I don't know what to call it, but like you feel like you're moving fast, you're growing, things are happening, you're becoming a lot more positive as a person as you zero in and focus in on these tasks at hand and they get done. But the reason why it feels like it becomes a lot more effortless is because, like I said, when you're aligned with your clarity of what you want, you feel like there's the things that were distracting you aren't there anymore, and you almost feel lighter. It's hard to explain, but there's nothing weighing you down, and so you can start to move quicker and do things quicker, and you know um, and that's really kind of to the next thing I want to talk about, which is a little out there for some people. But when I say that you feel like you start to get pulled towards the direction that you're focusing on, what I mean by that is sometimes, like, if you look at life as living in some organic universe that can really listen to our needs and wants, like if you're open to that, you'll be surprised how, you know every subject matter is pretty much like a stick, right? And whatever they call it, the duality, I guess, of life. And so every situation, everything has the potential of a different outcome, right? The negative or the positive. But it all comes down to you and how you choose to see the world and what perspective you choose to look through the lens of, and so if you're continually going to look through the lens of negativity, you're going to find yourself constantly seeing it, and your brain's going to spot it. In a lot of ways, your subconscious brain acts like the missile detector, like when you're on a plane, or like a plane detector. So when you're on a plane, like playing a video game, and you have the rockets loaded and you have the plane going by and it locks on. Well, your subconscious is like that. Your subconscious locks on to stuff while you're doing things. And it's like it's active in its own way, locking in, picking up information. And it only really looks for the things that you're focused on. And so I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about it in this way, but essentially that's essentially what's going on. Um, so you're the more emotional the I guess we could say is the more emotional the your goal, then obviously the more energy you're going to have to focus on it. You're going to want to focus. You're just naturally, when you're really passionate about something, you're just naturally going to spend time on it without really thinking about it. And so you start to exercise some very interesting parts of your brain when you're spending a lot of time working on something where it doesn't feel like work, but you're still in it, and you're still working it, and your brain's functioning. So when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work, and you spend lots of time working it, and that has an effect on everything that you do. It has an effect on your brain, your cognitive function, the things that you do with your fingers. It affects your cognitive function. Uh, there's a lot of things. Memorizing things to help expand your memory. There's just different exercises you can do. But meditation is the biggest one. Meditation is the biggest exercise you can do for 17 minutes, 20 minutes at a time. You can do 30, you can do an hour. And essentially what you do is you spend your time really being in the present and not being distracted by your own thoughts. It means that you're focusing on zeroing in, just being a being in the moment, and feeling things, and just being very hyper aware of your surroundings, and just really outside your head. And you can do that focusing on your breathing, and you eliminate thoughts. It becomes easier to focus on, whatever it is that you're focusing on. If it's a clear head, it's a clear head. If it's a dream, a vision, then it's a vision. But either way, when you're meditating and you're spending that time, maybe once a week, twice, three would be ideal. You're exercising your cognitive function for enhanced focus. It becomes really healthy for you, and as a person, it just as a habit, doing that over time, it has its tremendous benefits. Yeah. Um, what else? So that's what they say. You spend about 17. You can go as far as to an hour meditating. Um, but what happens is when you start to meditate, what you're doing is you're working on what they call attention drift. Essentially, anytime you want to lower your percentage on your attention. Yeah, attention drift. You want to lower your percentage of attention drift. See, I'm not very focused today. The irony. But the truth is, though, I'll be fair. I've been working my butt off. I have a guest here who's very distracting and just taking up a lot of time and energy, and I was just talking about that. So that's how important it is. It like you can easily get a little derailed and you lose a bit of focus, and it can be that damaging to whatever it is you're doing. The irony of it all. Yeah. So once you start to get yourself in alignment, when you have clarity, you eliminate distractions, um, you're in alignment, you start to realize some things. You start to realize that time becomes very, very valuable. And that's why you start to become more careful about who you spend time with. And then you start to realize that you can make time for things. It just takes the energy to get going, right? And to get going is the key. Um, but once you're going, it's a little easy to maintain if you're already in movement and going and going and going. But once you start to slow down, just like anything else, it becomes hard to pick back up. And you start to learn the other lesson that energy is limited. You know, you're not a machine with an unlimited supply of energy. You're a certain amount of supply. And speaking of which, like I myself, because I'm working so hard, I'm also experiencing these like moments of exhaustion. You know, I'm exhausted. I'm really pushing it, really pushing it, really pushing it because I love what I do. It's a lot easier for me to focus on this. It's a lot easier for me to dive in and go in and experiment, and I'm willing to fail and learn from what I do right and what I do wrong. You know, there's a lot of things that go into play. So as long as I'm, you know, learning, then it's okay. I give myself the excuse to keep experimenting and keep going back to the drawing board and all that business. Um, the other thing is what I was talking to you about is that force, the duality of life of you can either on any subject matter, any one subject matter you pick, there's a duality behind it. There's a negative side to it and a positive side to it, and it's really up to you what you want to choose to see and follow through with. Are you going to hyper focus on the negativity or hyper focus on the positive? There's two different roads here, and that's for every. They say it's like a stick, right? Life, like any subject matter, is a stick, and it has a negative and a positive side, and you have to choose, right? But that's why it's important for you to be able to have that maintained focus throughout long periods of weeks at a time, is that you eliminate worry, doubt, anything that's going to fuel negativity. Exactly as what I was saying is you want to realize, once you realize that every subject matter is a duality, it makes it almost easier to make that choice of choosing the positive, right? But usually, kind of early on in life, when we're kind of starting out and we're starting to figure things out, you'll see very soon that a lot of people make the wrong choice because they don't quite realize that they're living in a duality. A series of situations arise, and they arise up, and it's sometimes they pick the negative because they're just so emotionally unbalanced, not thinking very clearly, not making a very conscious choice. They just kind of, you know, off the cuff make a decision because they're just so emotional, right? And once you become very emotional, you're no longer in control. So that's why it's so important to don't feed your doubt, you know. And then once you also the next step from all of this, you know, from looking at the focus of all things, when like I was saying earlier, when you eliminate confusion, right, from the mix of things, you're also going to find what actions become irrelevant. You know, and sometimes it's not through a series of failures that you start to learn which actions are really truly irrelevant. Um, but it's only through trying that you can actually figure that out. But I mean, you know, focus is one of those things that's just, it's not very, what is there in depth to go over with focus? You know what I mean? It's such a basic thing, but I may have mentioned a few things that you may have never heard of. Like, for example, like I was saying, it's very beneficial to do meditations, 17 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, if you can, 1 hour at a time, to use that time to focus on the present, on the now, and eliminate those shifting patterns and thought. You want to stay honed in on one singular focus, a thought or focus. And that's what focus basically ends up being like this tool, almost like a filter, if you will, that guides you to, to what really matters. Once you realization. Um, and just like anything else, like I was telling you about, like all these subject matters, these topics, they really just tie well so together, because at the end of the day, they're all practicing just about the same things. They're all preaching and practicing the same things. Um, but yeah, just you realize the actions that become irrelevant, and they go to the wayside. And yeah, and that's the enhanced creativity of it all. It all enhances your creativity when you have more time to focus on the goals that you're going towards. You'll see that you're just have a natural tendency to have uh, um, a way with things. There's that door is opened, creativity, and there's just your mind is thinking and looking for solutions, and it's through solutions that you find your goals, or accomplish them. It's just through a series of solutions, going through whatever you got to go through, and problem solving, and achieving those goals. But it's so easy to lose focus. I mean, in this modern world, very easily. And it's all about how we set up. At the end of the day, how do we set up our abode? Do we have televisions and radios and stuff that are just constantly in the background playing, distracting? Is there people distracting us? Is just something distracting you? There's just so many things you got to just be careful about when it comes to this sort of thing. But yeah, I was briefly talking about how some of the tools you can use to help focus with music. Music is one of them for sure. Uh, and I mentioned how YouTube has music for specific things. Like creators have posted things for like sleeping, learning, uh, raising your vibration, enhanced focus for enhanced studying, enhanced learning. Like it's pretty amazing. So it's true what they say about music. When it's instrumental, it can help you zero in and focus on whatever it is you're working on. Another little trick that is, I'm not sure where I picked it up from. Probably from either like doing meditation classes or something like that. It must have been something, an acting class. But essentially, when you pinch your fingers, you're activating your focus. And I'm not sure. Have you ever seen like gurus do this or something? Like they're pinching their fingers because it can really help you activate that part of you that's the focus part. It can help you. Like it's so funny because that's exactly what you're doing. You're holding on to a singular strand of something. You're pinching your fingers, and it feels like you're holding on to something. But it's a very interesting thing. And again, I'm not sure where I picked that up. It was either some acting books or meditation books. But by pinching your fingers, you immediately capture your mind. Like if you're completely out of focus, you're just, people are spinning your head. This simple act of doing this gets you back to center and gets you like, oh, like what am I thinking about? What am I doing? Oh, right, this is what I'm doing. Right? I'll go over my notes here. And over time, we all suffer through the natural corrosion of life, right? The cognitive decline that we're all gonna head towards. It's inevitable. A lot of people get brain disease, different types of things, and it's because they don't take care of themselves. And I'm sure that meditating daily or 3 times a week enhances a part of your cognitive. It actually does. It enhances your front cortical area whenever you're meditating. So it's actually doing something to your brain. And the other thing is that, you know, there's the other aspect of your memory. Part of your memory is connected to the part of the brain that is like spatial awareness. And so when you're if you drive a lot, you travel a lot, or you come into new spaces that you explore, you're actually putting your what do you call it? Um, that spatial awareness in your memory to work. You know, you're training it. So that's why a lot of taxi drivers have that part of their brain a little bit bigger because they're always traveling and going new places and stuff. And that actually increases your memory, believe it or not. There's a part of your brain. And the front part of the brain, when you're meditating and you're focusing in on the present and you become hyper aware of your surroundings in a way that gets you out of your head, amazing things start to happen. Uh, your energy, your vibe, your aura starts to lift. You know, your mood, your attitude starts to go up. You know, it's not being brought down by anxiety and worries and stuff because you're not thinking about that. So like a floaty thing, one of those little fishing floaty things, that's what happens. You float straight up, your energy flows up because you know you're letting go. Essentially you're letting go. Yeah. And like I was saying, one of the battles that a lot of us face, even right now as I'm speaking to you, I'm suffering through cognitive fatigue. And people take over the counter vitamins that are jam packed with different things that can help you with that. And I'm thinking about doing it because, man, it is getting very exhausting. Like just mentally doing this and figuring it out. And sometimes my day is messed up because I didn't do it right, and I'm but I can only know that if I'm in it and I actually fail, then I learn what I didn't do right, and I can go back. Now I have to spend more time tomorrow. Maybe I'll try it again, see if it works out just right. That's my whole day, right? It's experimenting, figuring out a pattern that works just right, you know. And it's tough. It's really tough. It is. It is. It's so easy to just be like, okay, you know, I give up because it's very tough, you know, and like I said, if you can find a very personal why and you attach it to what you're doing and your vision, what it is you're getting done, it'll make you a stronger person to get through, you know, versus somebody who doesn't care as much because they know at the end of the day they can do something else and they don't care, right? But if you care extremely an extreme amount, it's going to affect everything, you know. And that's the important thing there too is find out what you truly care about, what really matters to you, and you using that as a motivator to keep you going. Focus. You can't. Such a key thing. Such a key thing. In your head too, not just in actions, but in your head. You got to be mentally focused on positive thoughts. On if negative thoughts come in, then you got to be on top of that and make sure that they don't keep going. You stop them before they can further spinball into more negativity, you know. So in a lot of ways, there's a lot of management going up in your head, you know. But the best thing to do is to get out of your head. You know, that's the best. That's why you do meditations and all that kind of thing. But get out of your own head, get out of your own way, let things flow, let the energy rise, let the positivity of things really take over, and be okay with allowing for things to be good. Sometimes we don't allow it because we maybe don't feel like we deserve it. Take a bit of a smoke break here. I got my licensed marijuana card. And typically I smoke every now often here, and I'm very truthful about it. I don't hide it, you know. I'm just a very honest person. What can I say? But it's very helpful. I find it very helpful whenever I start to feel a little fatigue or a little stress or, you know, that kind of thing. keeps me going. It actually helps me focus. A lot of people say the opposite, like they get lazy, they lose focus. I'm not sure why. I don't know if that's just them lying to themselves because they don't know what it really is like to be accustomed to weed, marijuana, the right type of plant, and to enhance your natural abilities to focus, to stay motivated, push through the stress, push through anxiety, all that stuff. I find it very helpful. I don't know why media and people have made marijuana users to be people who are super lazy. I think those people were just lazy to begin with, and they're just not utilizing the the amazing power you get from having THC and terpenes in your system. I don't like to say just the term high because that's such an outlandish thing. What is high? Well, let's break it down. It's THC and terpenes in your system. It's your body and your nerves, like really just relaxing, and there's more connectivity. It just seems like everything gets more enhanced. Now, I'm not trying to sell you the idea that you should go start smoking this or that I think it's cool. No, I just did it a long time ago when I had cancers and I got my license, and it really helped out with the pain I was in. And I'll just leave it at that. So now, but I still continue to smoke. I find it still very relaxing. I find it just became a habit. If anything else, it just became a habit, and I just really enjoy it. So please excuse me. Smoke them if you got them. Smoke them if you got them. Focus long term is another thing. That, day to day, day to day to day to day, you check on your focus. I mean, really, reflect on it. How much of your time was really distracted? Who was distracting you? What situation? What's causing you to lose time on stuff that isn't that important to you? Why don't you have motivation? Are you depressed? Are you going through something? What's hurting your momentum? Your what's stopping you from being your most achievable version of yourself? It's okay to ask those questions. It's not you're a bad person or you suck because of it. No, these are honest questions you need to ask yourself to really, just like when they say you look in the mirror. And it's a hard thing to do, but you look at yourself and you really see for who you are, through your actions and what people say about you, and like all that adds up, and you realize you make an assessment, it's no good, and that's okay. It's not for you to beat yourself down, but it's for you to say, what things can I do in my life that I can change, whether it's habits, skill sets, relationships. What can I do to enhance and make those better so that my life in turn becomes better? Because if you go to any of my podcasts, especially when I talk about community and the importance of community, that's what's going to get you to the next level. It's going to sustain you long run. There's people and friends that you can rely on that are not, trying to piss on your fire. These are real people who really support you. And when you need them the most, they are there, Be at war. Be at war with people and things and situations that want to distract you. I'm serious. Take it that to that level. Take it to that level where you're just at war with everything that wants you to take you away from your dreams, because that's what it is. And if you have a vision and that vision makes you happy, like authentically, it's not a forced thing, like you really find enjoyment in the thing you're dreaming about, then there's no reason why you shouldn't go after it, and honestly, that you're going to find yourself happier and happier the more time you spend on those goals and zero it in. But if you don't have the focus, it's never going to even start. It's just not going to start. It all starts in the mind. It all starts in the mind. It always has, it always will, and that's just the way it is. And so, what are you thinking about, day to day? What seriously, what you focus on becomes the thing that you're attracting in your life. If you take a metaphor for a magnet, that's exactly what you're doing. So it's very important to know what you're focusing on. Is it something toxic, bad behaviors that you're doing? Are you doing something bad? And maybe it's okay that maybe you didn't realize really the severeness of it, and now you appreciate other people's time now because you appreciate their energy, and that life is short and we all have a limited amount of it. We're not unlimited creatures. We have limited energy and time. So be more aware of not wasting other people's time and energy. Be more aware, for sure. For sure, be more aware. Yeah, because life is short. It goes by so fast. It sounds like a cliche, but I'm 38 years old, and it's been fucking a hell of a time. Like a great time. Like even all the ups and downs. Like it's been one crazy ride. But it's one of those things where you don't worry about it, because as long as you're always in the present, you know, and really honing in, you don't worry about stuff like that, about how time flies by, this and that. Because I mean, the present to me always just feels like the present. It doesn't feel like it's aged. It doesn't feel old. It doesn't feel like there's been years. It's just weird how the present is always, it feels fresh and new. But we're not kids anymore. We've grown. We've grown. So, and maybe we start ourselves, we start to feel maybe not so fresh, not so new. Maybe you start to feel like things are catching up to you. But I think, I think, I think generally speaking, because we're creatures of habit, a lot of people live day to day. They don't live in terms of weeks and months and years. Some people just think day to day. They don't think in terms of years and decades. They don't plan like that. It takes another kind of mindset. It takes more focus to be thinking about that kind of future. It takes more focus to think about details about certain things. It takes more computing power in your own brain, to put effort out to think about, make connections, connect the dots, soak in information. There's a lot of energy. So battling cognitive exhaustion is key, right? To keep going, keep going, keep going, battling that. And you do that by eating extremely healthy. You do that by having a physical routine checkup, not just a checkup, but I mean a maintenance where you're working out, doing stamina stuff, bicycling, walking, speed walking, whatever you want to call it, walking on Riverside, whatever, jogging, um, jumping jacks, jump ropes, weightlifting, things like that. That's going to cause you over time, if you have a focus that you feed in day by day, week by week, month by month, and you start focusing long term, like quarterly. Now we're talking some serious gains. We're talking some serious discipline, of serious focus and serious, like, you know, you're what happens is you value your time. So that's when things become more serious and more like, you're not here to waste it. You're not here to just F around with people and hang out and just, it's good to have a distraction here and there, but not to the point where it's hurting you and hurting your productivity. You want to have distractions when you're ready to have them, when you accomplish your goal. And I talk about that in my other podcast, how for me, I allow myself right after I achieve a goal to have this burnout period. I call it I go out, I hang out, I spend time alone, whatever. I just do whatever to get away from having to work, focus all the time. So, and so when I have my downtime, I get my energy back. I'm thinking about my next steps. I'm doing things to see what works and what doesn't, and rethinking it, and coming tweaking and coming at things with new ways, and being creative outside the thinking box. But you can't be there if you don't start somewhere, and that focus starts at the beginning somewhere. It can start with just a basic idea of something, and that idea can be, when you focus on the idea, it becomes something bigger, and it requires more, and it's exciting, and because it's exciting, you're a little bit more motivated because now you have some time spent on it. There's things coming together, and you're seeing it come together. Now it's becoming a little bit more effortless to spend the time on it because you're just so in love with what you're doing that you just go on, go on, go on, go on. Things become so effortless. You're just in the middle of something huge that you didn't even, it would seem impossible to do at the beginning. But and that's what happens. You fan the flame, the focus. It's like a fire. Think of it as a spark. In the beginning, there's a spark. You keep fanning the focus, and you just have this fire. Think of that as whatever it is that you're focusing on becoming, growing, building, you know, reaching the goal, whatever you want to call it. Um, I basically went over all my notes. I can do a quick run over for those who just joined me, so I can just kind of go over it really quickly, just scan it through. Here are the most important takeaways, okay? Clarity about what you want. Eliminate confusion. You get more aligned with your goals and more aligned with what's important to you. You become better at not shifting, or shifting when you need to, but not unnecessarily. Like when you just want to shift to being lazy, well, now you're just wasting time. You can schedule that. You can schedule downtime. You don't have to just be lazy. You get what you want. You schedule it, you have a goal, and you focus on it, you get what you want. That's the prize. Increase motivation. With the clear focus and the clarity, you just naturally feel an aura of just being more motivated, more just less depressed, less of sluggishness. You start to feel a natural pull towards your goal. Like the more time you spend working on it, and the focus, everything that was holding you back at first, whatever it was, lack of resources, lack of connections, things like that, it all seems to like start to fade away. Things start to become like it's a pull, and then suddenly Joe Schmo wants to work with you and has a solution for you, and then working together, it's magic. Things start opening up that you didn't really see before. You start to get a pull because, most importantly, you're connected to your why. It's a very, very, very meaningful, emotional why. It can't be because I want $1,000. No, it has to be like something very, very, very emotional, heavy, meaningful to you, where it makes you cry if you failed or if you even got it. Either way, it's that meaningful to you. That's so key to having all this kind of like motivation to keep going, year to year to year to year. What is it? What is it that's so important to you that will basically make you cry whether you got it or you didn't get it? And so the focus, like everything, is a duality, right? You can focus on negativity, and that can spinball out of control very quickly. So there is what you can call driving the focus cattle, like a cowboy out on the ranch, and he's just got his cattle. Well, your cattle is going to want to go different directions, right? There's negativity town over there. Well, you as the cowboy, you don't want to allow the cows to decide to go that way, so you herd it the other way. You're constantly a herder, right? You're hurting the momentum that you're creating by being positive, and like the only way you're going to reach positive town is you keep the focus on the positive. And anytime you feel any negativity, well, that's when you feel like that rancher. You come out and you start herding the cattle that are going to negativity town. You say, nope, this way, cows. We're going to positive town. It sounds stupid, but that's one process. Another process that actually works, that I actually use a long time, is I would see my negative thoughts. I would once they would enter my head, I would see them as an image and capture it as a frame. And then what I would do is, in my own head, those thoughts, as they became a still image and part of a film strip, I would literally cut it out and just crunch it up and throw it away. And I did that for the longest time, and that really helped out. That helped out. Anytime I had a negative thought, boom, I would do that. I would stop myself immediately, just do that, and it was like magic. It was like I was like a wizard, I just immediately got myself back to focusing on being positive, and pushing that and making sure that snowballs into more positivity. Yeah. So the other takeaways is, when you do this, when you're in alignment with your goals, your motivation, your whys and all that stuff, that's all aligned, and you're not being distracted, what happens is you just realize how important time is just very valuable, and like that you will make time for things that are important to you, and you won't make excuses. And you realize how energy is very limited, and you want to be efficient with your energy and your time in all ways that you can think of to increase productivity. So those are the basic points. Uh, that's pretty much it. Yeah, those are all the points. Pretty much went over everything. So, I mean, we take our time for granted. So often we take our time for granted, and so when we actually take the time to focus on one singular thing and actually devote time to it and have the discipline to do that, a lot of magic happens. There's a lot of energy behind being focused on one thing. There's magic to it. I mean, not real magic, but I'm saying it feels like magic. It feels very magical, when you devote your time to one singular thing and you actually get to the place and you actually achieve it. It's so fulfilling, so fulfilling. Whew. So yeah, I went over everything. If you're just tuning in, my name's Lasso, here at Lasso's Passions. That's my channel here on YouTube. It's my experimental channel where I'm learning how to navigate as a creator on YouTube, and I'm learning some things. So it's been a lot of fun. If you have any questions about what we've talked about today, I'm going to have a midnight vlogging session at midnight CST. That's a good time for you to, if you have any questions, if you want to talk about your life, if you want some life advice, if you want to hear maybe what I think about, maybe some ideas I can give you, anything like that. If you're just up for it, tune in, comment below. I'm open for it. I'm open to connecting with you all. I'm open to communicating, and just like I said, this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm here for. This is why I started the podcast. Just kind of have something of importance that I can give back and leave behind, and just for myself too. Because I'm finding myself becoming a much better person every day. Every day. I work on myself. I'm becoming a better person every day, and so I want to, like I said, I guess it's just part of my process of becoming a better person. Whatever this is, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm still learning. I feel like I've made some mistakes, and so that's why I do the vlogging at midnight, is because I'm able to reflect back on my mistakes, and then I think about what I can adjust for the next day and see what I can do to better the outcome, right, of the things that I'm working on. But it's a nice process. It's a nice process to get ahead really quick, to move a quick ahead. Like I said, the other day, I had a big dip, and I quickly went up again with views. That's because I'm learning really quickly. I'm learning really quickly. I know I still make a lot of mistakes. I know I make a lot of mistakes, but I'm learning. And at this point, consistency is the key. The name of the game. Like for the name of the game is for me to find something that I can be consistent with and get a lot of views with, and start doing that. With consistently. And I'm getting there, folks. I'm figuring it out. I'm figuring it out. Sometimes I have doubts, but you cannot allow doubts to come in and steal your cheerfulness, your ability to get out there and get motivated. Do not allow doubt to do that. It is so easy. Doubt is not your friend. Doubt makes you think it's very comfortable, hiding away, when really it's your enemy. When doubt creeps in, look at it as your enemy and run the hell away from it. Don't invite it in. Don't invite it into your house. Doubt is not accepted here. We do not accept credit card doubt here. It's just the currency of doubt is not understood. We do not understand it. We do not want it. Take it that seriously. Take it that seriously. I know it sounds like a joke, and I can sound kind of jokey, and I make a lot of jokes on YouTube. But take it that seriously, fellas. I'm telling you, fellas. Take it that seriously, man. Take it like your life depends on it, because in a lot of ways it does. You only get one. Don't take it for granted. Don't live in fear. Don't live in fear. Do not live in fear. Do not live in fear. Don't make the biggest mistake of allowing fear to take over your life. And then you wake up one day and you're 80 years old and you missed out on life. That, my friends, is called hell. You know what I mean? That, my friends, is hell. And that's not a place I want to be. I don't want to wake up one day and go, man, I missed out. I missed out on life. That to me would be more heartbreaking than anything. I missed out on growing as a person. I missed out on opportunities. I missed out on, in some doors are meant for you, some are not, and that's how I view missed opportunities. But I don't fret over that. Is what I'm saying. I just keep moving forward until I find something that works for me, and when it does, it does. And like I said, you hone in, you use the magical power of focus. You don't let anything distract you, and you're like a military general saying, this is what we're doing, and this is what we're going to go after. We're not effing around here. We're not effing around here, people. All right? We're not effing around. Sometimes when you talk to yourself like that in the mirror and you pump yourself up, that's how you get yourself motivated. It sounds really stupid, but like doing jumping jacks, jump ropes, eating healthy, and then looking at yourself in the mirror, and just like what I'm doing, I'm just like talking to myself, like a weirdo. Who cares? Who cares if people think you're weird? Like, does it work for you? Is it working? Are you able to sit down and focus and hone in and do what you got to do? If the answer is yes, then who cares if they think you're a weirdo? Pursue your passions. Who cares? They're not you. They don't know the talents and things you have to bring to the table. Who are they to say what you have to bring to the world isn't good enough or isn't of anything of value? Everybody has something to say. And that is the genius of YouTube. It made it possible for everybody to have this opportunity to feel heard and to feel seen. And it's such a great feeling to have, to be honest. It really is. As an artist, at least, when the one thing you crave is like seeing your work have some kind of effect in the public, yeah, yeah, it feels very fulfilling. I will say that. But I'll leave all of that for the vlog. That's going to be at midnight. You're welcome to join midnight for the vlog. I reflect back on what I did today, what I thought was bad, and what I thought was good, and the changes I'm going to make for tomorrow. And then I'm going to implement those actions tomorrow, and work on them. And that is some serious focusing in. You know what I'm saying? That's some serious focus. And whatever it is you do in life, when you do that, when you use your focus on a singular thing to try to see something grow over time, it's a beautiful thing. There's nothing more spectacular, more beautiful than seeing like a company grow, your ability to, see a house put together, built from not just bought, but like built from scratch, like built, like actually built through your modifications, and the fulfillment you get from that kind of thing that's very personal. Otherwise, why would it be? And so I'm just trying to tap into everything I said and just kind of wrapping it, right? So, a lot to think about. Sometimes it's okay. It's okay to take a minute to think about these things, because you know what happens? You have a shift in your mindset. Now, your mind, the things you think about, the things you talk about, your subconscious mind acts like one of those jets with one of those radar detectors for like another plane. So your subconscious mind becomes a detector for the stuff that you're talking about and thinking about. And so when you look around the world, you spot these things, you spot the opportunities, you spot the people you need to talk to, you spot the solutions. They just seem like they're just there, and all you have to do is allow your subconscious to do its thing. Just target on different things that pique your interest, and when you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, this is interesting. You know. All right, folks, that's it for me. I'm Lasso at Lasso's Passions. I'm going to be posting some Seinfeld clips later on. I'll be going live at midnight doing a vlogging, and then I'm gonna call it a night because I'm already getting pretty exhausted. So see you later, folks. It's been fun. Till next time. Till next time. Till next time.